Welcome to the Back Chat Beyond Pain. This podcast is for people who are tired of chasing short-term relief and want something more. Each episode, we break down what it really takes to move better, live stronger, and build long-term spinal health, not just feel good for a moment. I'm Dr. Rose from The Back Doctor, and this is where we go beyond pain. Most people think their body breaks down suddenly. One bad move, one wrong lift, one awkward twist. But in reality, the body almost never breaks suddenly. What looks sudden is usually just the final moment in a much longer story. So in the last episode, we talked about why symptoms are the last thing to show up, why pain doesn't appear at the start of a problem, but at the end of a long adaptation process. Today, we are taking that one step deeper because if symptoms show up last, then breakdown doesn't happen suddenly. It happens slowly. And understanding that changes everything. So when we talk about the one bad move, hear this out and you tell me if it relates to you, because I hear it all the time. I just bent down once. I slept wrong. I turned awkwardly. I lifted something light and suddenly the pain came on. But here's the truth. That moment wasn't the cause. It was the final straw that broke the camel's back. The body doesn't collapse from one move. It adapts to hundreds of small stresses first. That last movement just happens to be the one where the system finally runs out of tolerance. So I want you guys to think of it like a building block or a bucket. So if you've got a bucket that starts to fill up with stress, and that stress starts to fill that bucket up, and it starts to fill it up, and it starts to fill it up. You can handle, your body is able to adapt to that stress. So it doesn't really break down. However, the stresses continue to pile on, and you don't empty this bucket because you keep doing the same things that you've been doing time and time again. So what's going to happen eventually is you're going to be filling the bucket, and now the bucket has tipped to a point where it's reached the top. But you keep functioning the way you have been. There is no change. There is no stress. You think everything is going normal. Then it doesn't. Then the big moment happens where this bucket tips over and all that stress starts to come piling out. What happens now? What happens now is your body goes through a flight or fight response. It goes through a period where you are unable to handle the stress. Your body can start to break down. It can start to decay. It can become diseased. You're feeling all of the stress that it's been hiding. Because the number one thing that we discussed in other episodes is when the problem doesn't show up first, it hides underground. Here's another way to think about it. Think of the body like a backpack. You don't feel the first item that you put in. You don't feel the second or the third. But eventually, the weight becomes more and more noticeable. And I'm asking you to go back to your school years. Or if you're in your school years now and you're listening to this, and if it keeps adding load and you don't remove anything, eventually something gives. The body works that exact same way. Small stresses, they accumulate. Your daily posture is a big one. Repetitive movements, old injuries, emotional stresses, poor recovery, constant load. None of them cause immediate pain. Let's get that straight. But together, they can change the system. So what I like to call this section here is the 4 load buckets. It's a really nice system that you can create to find out what stresses happen in your life. And the first one is repetition. If you keep doing the same movements at work or at home, the same patterns over and over again, it could be work, training routines, daily habits that you do at home. This repetition builds efficiency, but it also builds strain. The second bucket is posture. How the body is held for hours matters more than what you do for the minutes. So, are you behind a desk all day? Are you sitting down? Is your posture terrible? Or are you on your feet? Are you leaning towards one side more than the other? Your phone. How do you use your phone? And what awkward positions do you put your body into? Because posture is a silent stress. And number 3 is stress. And I'm not talking physical stress. I'm talking the nervous system stress. Deadlines, pressure, the mental load, the emotional tension you can get. Stress changes muscle tone, breathing patterns, recovery ability. Just as I talk about this, I am breathing faster. Number 4. Now, this is the big one. Recovery. Do you sleep? Do you get enough rest? Do you do restoration activities? Because this is the bucket most people ignore. You can't out-train poor recovery, and you can't outwork constant load on your body. So this is why active people still break down, because they still get injured. Strong people still get pain. Fit people still break down, because strength doesn't cancel load. Fitness doesn't cancel poor recovery. Activity doesn't cancel stress. The capacity matters, but so does what you're putting into the system every day. So this is where the Beyond Pain roadmap matters. Relief calms the system. Understanding explains the system. Correction redistributes the load. And resilience increases your capacity. And longevity is when the system becomes sustainable. This isn't about fixing one area. It's about changing how the system handles stress, not reacting to the breakdown, but preventing overload in the long term. So if you're listening to this right now, it's worth asking yourself, where is load building in my life? Is it the posture? Is it stress? Is it repetition? Is it recovery? Because what's been accumulating quietly because it wasn't painful yet, because breakdown doesn't start with pain. It starts with load. So if breakdown is about load, how do you actually reduce it? How do you rebuild capacity? How do you change that system? And that's exactly what we're going to be moving into next in the next episode. So if you remember one thing from today, remember this. Bodies don't break suddenly. They adapt slowly until they can't. And the good news is anything that adapts slowly can be changed intentionally. If today's episode resonated, take a moment to let it sink in. Feeling better is a step, but lasting health is built over time. Thanks for listening to the Back Chat Beyond Pain. Until next time, keep moving forward.